It was supposed to be just another landing, a routine safe descent as we neared our final destination in Lakehurst. I'd been a crewmate aboard the Hindenburg for months, and by now, the routine felt like second nature. None of us could have imagined what was about to happen. Everything seemed perfectly normal as we descended. I was stationed at midship, running checks, as the passengers gathered by the windows to catch a glimpse of the landing field below. The weather had been a bit rough earlier, but the skies had now cleared. My mind wandered to thoughts of finally disembarking after the long journey across the Atlantic. It was only minutes away now. Then, out of nowhere, a deafening explosion ripped through the airship. It wasn't the sound of fire igniting like you'd expect in an accident. It was a blast, an ear-splitting, violent detonation that shook the entire ship. The air itself felt like it was torn apart. I was thrown off my feet, the walls vibrating as the explosion sent shockwaves through the steel frame. My ears rang, my head spinning from the sheer force of it. For a split second, everything went silent. A horrible, eerie silence. I scrambled to my feet, trying to process what had just happened. There was smoke, thick and choking, rising from the lower decks. And then the realization hit me like a freight train. This wasn't an accident. Panic set in. People were screaming, some frozen in shock, others rushing to the windows. I saw one of the engineers clutching his side, blood seeping through his uniform. The blast had originated from inside the ship, deep within the cargo hold. I didn't know what had caused it, some sort of bomb maybe, hidden among the cargo. But there was no time to speculate. Sabotage, I heard someone shout, though the voice was drowned in the growing roar of fire and chaos. Whoever had planted that explosive had known exactly what they were doing. The blast had ripped through the heart of the ship, igniting the hydrogen cells almost instantly. The inferno spread like a demon unleashed, racing along the hull, devouring everything in its path. The fire was everywhere, and I knew we only had seconds before the entire ship would be engulfed. The heat was on my back, the walls glowing red as the flames devoured the Hindenburg from within. I could barely breathe, choking on the smoke as I dove out of a window, crashing hard onto the field below. The ground came up fast, knocking the wind out of me, but I forced myself to turn around and look. The sight that greeted me was nothing short of hell itself. The majestic airship, once a symbol of human ingenuity, was now a raging inferno, collapsing into a pile of burning wreckage. And I knew this had been no accident. This had been a deliberate act of sabotage. As I lay there, watching the ship disintegrate, I couldn't shake the thought, who would do this and why? I had no answers, only the horrifying certainty that someone, somewhere, had wanted this to happen. They had planned it. In less than a minute, the Hindenburg was reduced to ash and twisted steel, but the truth of what caused that explosion, it would haunt me for the rest of my life. That was a dramatized account of Ernst Lehmann, former captain of the Hindenburg, who was on board as an observer during the final flight. He, among many others, reported an explosion or detonation occurring during the fire, stating, quote, "It must have been an explosion. I can't understand it. Everything seemed normal. Then suddenly it happened," end quote. Joseph Spa, another passenger aboard the Hindenburg, specifically stated he believed there had been a bomb planted aboard the airship. He is quoted as stating, "There was a sudden boom, and then I saw fire. I always felt something was not right on that flight." Spa went on to cite suspicious actions by the crew near the rear of the ship during the journey. Many other crew members, including the captain himself, Hugo Eckener, made statements about their suspicions of sabotage. Then, as if on cue, all the rumors came to a dead halt. Sabotage was suddenly declared unlikely, and investigators from both Germany and the United States declared the catastrophe an accidental result of static discharge igniting hydrogen from a ruptured gas cell. The only problem is, investigators never found that ruptured gas cell. This conclusion of their investigation was based on complete speculation and conjecture, and despite first-hand accounts from passengers and crew stating there was likely an explosive device placed on board, these claims were ignored in favor of the accidental theory. But why? Why would both the US and German investigators unequivocally rule out sabotage as a cause so quickly? This rapid dismissal of sabotage theories raises critical questions, particularly when considering the broader implications of the disaster. A possible motivation behind such dismissal could be the substantial insurance money at stake, mostly secured through a London-based company. This financial angle suggests the possibility of an insurance scam, where sabotage might have been orchestrated to secure financial recovery from the disaster. Furthermore, the subsequent elimination of airships as a popular mode of travel, specifically because of this incident, aligns suspiciously with the interests of more controllable and profitable forms of transport being pushed by powerful entities of the time. One of the most glaring omissions in the Hindenburg disaster investigation was the failure to test for dynamite in the wreckage. Dynamite, one of the most common explosives used at the time, was notably absent from the list of substances tested for in the investigation. This omission is particularly suspicious given that investigators tested for many other types of explosives, including TNT. This selective scrutiny raises questions about the thoroughness and true intent behind the official investigation. Dynamite would have been an accessible and effective means for sabotage, known for its high volatility and explosive power. The fact that such a commonplace explosive was overlooked in the forensic analysis suggests either a significant oversight or a deliberate decision to steer the investigation away from certain possibilities. This gap in the investigative process contributes to the skepticism surrounding the official conclusion of the Hindenburg disaster. By neglecting to test for dynamite, investigators may have missed crucial evidence that could have pointed more definitively toward sabotage rather than the accepted narrative of an accidental fire caused by static discharge. The scrutiny surrounding the rapid dismissal of sabotage theories is significantly amplified by the multiple reports at the time that suggested foul play. A 1937 Newsweek article highlighted skepticism among experts, noting, though U.S. and German officials have made every effort to squelch talk that the dirigible was sabotaged, a number of Navy experts still cling privately to the theory. They suspect that an incendiary time bomb was hidden among the ship's hydrogen cells before it left Frankfurt, a circumstance lending weight to the theory. If the Zeppelin had moored on schedule instead of 12 hours late, none of the passengers and almost none of the crew would have been aboard at the time of the explosion. This timing anomaly raised suspicions that the delay could have been intended to maximize casualties, suggesting foreknowledge of the disaster. Further corroborating suspicions of foul play, a May 9, 1937 Los Angeles Times article featured comments from Captain Anton Heinen, a leading airship engineer and expert in the field of lighter-than-air craft development. Heinen expressed his concerns that the disaster was a sabotage, stating, "I'm not saying that sabotage was the cause," but added, "I might say that I lean to that conviction." These statements from a seasoned Zeppelin builder and navigator lend credence to the sabotage theory, complicating the narrative of an accidental fire and suggesting that deeper investigations were warranted but possibly suppressed. The Hong Kong Sunday Herald also highlighted skepticism about the official investigations for the disaster. The publication noted that the German Air General in Washington had quickly ruled out sabotage by means of an incendiary bullet, which appeared to be prematurely conclusive given the ongoing investigations and emerging evidence to the contrary. The potential financial motivations behind ensuring the Hindenburg's destruction are significant. With the airship largely insured by a London-based insurance company, the payout from an insurance claim following such a disaster would have been substantial. This raises the possibility that financial gain could have been a driving factor behind the alleged sabotage. Interestingly, the Hindenburg was insured for over twice its constructed value, a detail that parallels other notable incidents, such as Larry Silverstein's insurance of the Twin Towers for double their worth just months before the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001. This pattern of overinsurance just before catastrophic events adds another layer of suspicion to the circumstances surrounding the Hindenburg disaster. However, the economic implications extend beyond mere insurance payouts. The elimination of airships as a viable mode of travel ensured the continuation of more profitable and controllable forms of transportation. The cessation of airship travel following the Hindenburg disaster also coincides with a period where control over transportation technologies was becoming increasingly centralized. Airships, which offered the potential for affordable and efficient global travel, could have disrupted established transportation networks controlled by powerful entities. Their ability to reach remote locations like Antarctica posed a direct challenge to existing power structures, which preferred to keep such areas inaccessible to the general public. Airship travel presented a form of transportation that was not only efficient, but also provided autonomy that could challenge existing power structures. The freedom to traverse large distances, including to areas such as Antarctica, posed a potential threat to controlling powers. This theory intertwines with the mysterious circumstances surrounding Admiral Byrd's expedition to Antarctica, which has fueled speculation about what may be hidden on the continent, from additional land masses to ancient pyramids visible via satellite imagery. The Antarctic Treaty, which effectively bars common people from unrestricted travel to Antarctica, further compounds these suspicions. Enacted in 1959 by a plethora of nations, this treaty prevents the general public from visiting over 90% of the Antarctic landmass. The majority of Antarctica is only visible to scientists and military with the highest of level security clearances. This aligns with the theory that the destruction of the Hindenburg was part of a larger agenda to centralize control over global exploration and keep certain areas of the world out of the public's reach. As this exploration of the Hindenburg disaster suggests, the incident was likely not mere accident, but a complex event with layers of intrigue possibly orchestrated for financial gain and strategic advantage. The implications of such an act, if true, highlight a profound manipulation by power structures aiming to shape the technological and geopolitical landscape of the time. As we consider the ongoing restrictions to areas like Antarctica, the legacy of the Hindenburg offers a cautionary tale about the lengths to which certain powers will go to protect their interests and control the global narrative. The true history of the Hindenburg may be more about what it reveals of human nature and the dynamics of power than about the technical details of airship travel. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day, and God bless.